This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Kia ora, good evening. Welcome to the South today. I'm Daryl Baser. New Zealand is now at an alert level 3 status in the fight to stop the spread of the coronavirus known as COVID-19. Many businesses have reopened, operating in a non-contact way, but for some, the struggle of remaining closed continues. We at Allied Press thank you for your viewership, readership and understanding at this time as New Zealand enters its first week at level 3. At this afternoon's media announcement, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern says we're doing well as a nation, but level 3 shouldn't be a time for complacency.
Roughly 75% of the economy is now operating. But as we've said, this extra activity does come with extra responsibility. The responsibility, as I've said repeatedly, to keep up that amazing effort that the team of 5 million has put in to fight the virus. So while people can now enjoy takeaways and pickups, it is vital that we keep our physical distancing and stay at home if there is no proper reason to be outdoors. Police have an online level 3 breach reporting tool via Police 105. As of 5:30 p.m. yesterday, 1,035 complaints have been received, with 277 referred to the compliance assessment team.
A final update on the Section 70 notice. An amended Health Act order has been published on the Ministry of Health website. You will find it in the Epidemic Notices section on the Ministry of Health website. The new order amends the previous one to specify the following. People can travel to care for their pets and other animals because we know it's important to look after these important members of our households or where we're living. So we've clarified that veterinary services are permitted to be contact services, which means you can go into the premises to drop off pets or other animals that require care. And also, hunting of game birds for recreation purposes is not permitted at alert level 3. This means, for instance, people cannot go duck shooting.
And stay tuned to Channel 39 to see today's full announcement. Vehicle repair businesses are bracing for a potential shortage of parts as COVID-19 affects global supply chains. One Dunedin auto workshop fears shortages in China may affect the availability of tyres in this country.
Nick Johnston of PD Auto Services in Dunedin is starting to worry about the possibility of a shortage of new tyres after several major tyre factories in China have shut down due to COVID-19.
At the moment there isn't a shortage. They've managed to get their shipment, their last shipment before the factories overseas closed down, but they are saying that there will be a shortage they don't know quite when, but it could be in the next month to 2 months that there could be quite a shortage of tyres coming in.
And he says people shopping for tyres may have to pay for more expensive brands than they were planning on because the low-priced tyres are likely to run out first.
I would imagine or assume that it would most likely be more of the low-end tyres that would be affected, more your budget range.
He's hoping other factories across the world will be able to pick up the slack to cover the current decline from China.
There could be other manufacturers out there that can supply. I'm sure there should be still a fair amount of supply in New Zealand at this stage. It's just whether or not how many factories have closed down overseas.
Johnston says he's also hoping Chinese factories will be able to get back up and running in the near future. In Dunedin, the South today.
Businesses around the country are adjusting to being at alert level 3, with some able to trade in non-contact ways, while others have to remain closed. I caught up with Otago Chamber of Commerce Chief Executive Dougal McGowan this afternoon to see how the region is adapting to level 3. How is it the change from level 4 to level 3 been for Otago businesses?
Yeah, so it's gone in 2 phases. One is that really intense phase where they were planning and getting ready for it and trying to make sure that they were meeting all the rules and regulations and making sure that their staff are safe and that their customers are going to be safe. So a lot of time and effort went into that pre-planning. And then, of course, when it actually happens, there's that rush for many as people got on the ground and started to be able to do the click and collect and other things. And that created some, as always, you can have the best laid plans, but sometimes they needed to be adapted and modified because the demand was so high for some. And I suppose for many, they're just looking now at what they've learned from that and then what that transition to hopefully level 2 will look like for them so that they can learn and make sure that they can get into a good space for level 2.
How are things generally looking in the region economically?
Yeah, so we've got a variety. If we look at Otago as a region, there's quite a variety. You've got North Otago and Clutha district. They've still got a predominantly large proportion, even under level 4. They had over 60% of their workforce which were deemed as essential. So pretty strong, and they've got a strong primary sector, which is only just starting to creak with not being able to process the lambs and beef at the moment, and grass growth is becoming an issue. So pretty strong in those areas. Otago is sort of the middle of the road, good strong backbone, but there are a number of people that are really hurting, and we saw that last week with the mothballing of a couple of areas and businesses, but also people are now starting to think, well, how long can we actually last without getting a good regular amount of money coming through the businesses? Then you've got Queenstown, of course, which is a totally different case in itself, where massively dependent upon the tourism and hospitality sectors, and that's been really devastated pretty badly.
I'm going to ask which areas are going better and which worse, and I had that with Queenstown in my head. It's kind of a cod case.
Yeah, look, and there are some elements that the good thing is that there's a number of really strong businesses there. For some, they'll go into hibernation for a period of time, and hopefully that then they'll be able to rise like the phoenix from the ashes to bigger and better things as we start to understand. But it also gives us now time to relook at what type of tourism we want to be having within this country. So that's quite a strong discussion that's happening currently.
What government opportunities are there for businesses around the place?
Yeah, so we've seen some pretty good examples of businesses that have adapted and changed their way of doing things, and they've been able to do it pretty quickly. We've seen reports of people being able to get in touch with their customers or their clients, be able to offer a service which is slightly different in that contactless way, and people have been able to do that. And the big driver behind that is technology. Those that have been able to adapt and use the technology to help their business and their customers have generally been able to move in that direction and provide that great support. But we have seen some issues around supply chains, and that's been an opportunity for some businesses because they can provide the missing parts for that supply chain.
What about business eligibility? How are Otago businesses managing to put their case and prove that they are eligible?
Yeah, look, I mean, we're working really hard on an advocacy front, trying to make sure that the people in the decision-making seats are hearing what it's actually like on the ground. So we're probably in contact every day with a significant decision maker so that they get those updates. We know that for some that they're going to need a wage subsidy for a little bit longer than others, and I think that's what we need to start to see in some of those spaces. We're also continually talking about those fixed costs that businesses have, like your rents and your insurances and other things, and what we can do to try to support them. And each industry itself also has a slightly different nuance for the issues that they have. So it's a really complex piece of work, but it's one that we're working really hard on to try to make sure that we get the best outcomes and the best targeted outcomes for the businesses throughout the region.
And if businesses don't cope, what about COVID-19 related redundancy support?
Yeah, look, I mean, so there's going to be, there is no doubt there is going to be redundancies. There's going to be restructures. There's going to be more people out of work. It's predicted anywhere between 10 and 20%. We've seen overseas in the United States, over 20 million people have signed up for the work subsidy over there. One of the things that's quite encouraging is that Dunedin and Otago as a region has always been good at looking after people from within the region. So we're talking with MSD and other providers about how we can create employment matching services, about how we can actually get people into training So if they get made redundant, how do they retain that $580 work supplement while they go into retraining, whether that's through the university, whether that's online, or whether it's through the Polytech, so that they maintain that level of interest in going back to work. And because what we don't want to do is have people sitting at home, because we know that has some social issues that go with it and mental health issues. So if we can get that retraining, if we can keep that subsidy going for those people who are made redundant into that and get their fees paid, I'm sure that we're going to have better outcomes, because we've got some fairly big projects about to happen throughout the region that we're going to need a really good skilled labour force for.
Indeed, like the hospital build for one of them, and there's a few others around that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the hospital build, 1.44 billion, but when we look at other projects around the region, it was predicted, this was before COVID-19 hit, there was another $15 billion worth of horizontal and vertical infrastructure to go in throughout the Otago and Southern region, and that only included projects of above $20 million. And we know that there are a huge number of projects that are under $20 million that need doing, like my house is currently going through right now.
How long do you think it'll be before businesses can start to have a modicum of actual confidence that the ground is changing and becoming more stable for them?
Yeah, so I think they're pretty aware that the ground has changed. It's that bit about when is it going to be stable again, and I think there's going to be periods of time where it will be quite stable for a bit of time, but then it's going to move again slightly. So that new norm hasn't been established yet. There are trends that are starting to show what that is, but until we actually get down to that level 1 again, or whatever, that new norm where we're able to do all the things that we used to be able to do, we won't quite know what that's going to be until we get to that stage, because there's a whole lot of factors that go into it. We've got a large number of people who are existing on less money. A lot of people are on 80% wages or less. That means discretionary spend money is down, and that means people are going to behave and do things differently to what they had in the past.
The day it was announced the larger multinational food chains were going to open, queues started forming outside their businesses. What would be your preference if people queue outside, say, a burger chain or their local cafe?
Oh, look, I mean, all of these organisations are putting wages into people's pockets, and they're getting money going through the economy, which is really important. The key to it is that people are back at work, and that we're actually out there getting that flow of money through, because when we start to get that, because those people that are working will be spending money somewhere else. So I think that's really important. So yes, we'd love to see, we really would like to see that buy local. We want people to buy, but remember those franchisees owners are local. And so we need to remember that they're part of our business environment, and so let's support them as well, because they are local people that are employing local people and putting local dinners on local tables.
Excellently put. So I was looking at possibly going to level 2 in about a fortnight's time, or slightly under. How's your glass crystal ball or crystal mirror looking forward to that?
Yeah, so again, it's going to be quite a significant change for businesses. Businesses will need to then, at level 3 for some hospitality, it's just not possible that they can open. It becomes too difficult. For some also, if you get back into that space where you open the doors, then any rent subsidy or relief that you receive, that disappears. So you've got some pretty high costs for some before you even sell a coffee or sell a meal. So the level 2 is still going to require quite a bit of distance spacing in there. So the key part to that is making our shopping environments safe, but also so that it's a place in which becomes re-inviting to the people who haven't been there now for what will be 6-7 weeks, and people have changed behaviours, and what we've got to do is change those behaviours again and make it easy for them to get access to retail, make it easy for them to get access to hospitality and all those opportunities that go with it.
One I've noticed is, being as I'm in front of a camera a fair bit, hairdressing. We have no hairdressers.
So I've got an excellent hairdresser. Does a great job every week. So I do that myself. I must say I'm very lucky to do that. there's going to be a number of those. There will be still some industries that are going to be able to find it really difficult to get back to work and how that gets done. So, they're going to need some special help to be able to get those practices in place, and quite often that'll come at a cost too.
Indeed. Right, Dougal, I really appreciate your time today. So, thanks for joining us.
As always, great to talk to you, and everybody out there, be kind and shop local.
New Zealand is 2 days into the level 3 alert status as we continue the fight against COVID-19. On Tuesday, many businesses began trading in a non-contact way. But what if your business is all about close contact? Dunedin mixed martial arts fighter and trainer Matt Tor runs Olympic Gym, the Olympic Fight Centre in Mosgiel, and we caught up with him via Zoom this afternoon. Good afternoon, Matt. Thanks for joining us today. So for a bit of background, how long have you been running the Olympic Fight Centre?
Well, basically, the Olympic Fight Centre has been going on for about 5 years out of Mosgiel, and we've just recently looking at a change of ownership, which happened just before Christmas. So we're still in the process of that, and it's just bad timing, unfortunately.
Indeed. And how long have you been closed for due to COVID?
Basically 5 weeks now. So, when we went to level 4, we were closed from that point on.
And what do you have in the way of, so it's change of ownership. So you presently in the process of buying it. What's the process there? Where you at?
Basically, my business partner that we opened the gym with, he's gone on a new venture and he's opened up a new gym in Mosgiel. And basically, look, I wanted to take it over and keep the gym going. And so we were just sorting through all of that process when we got hit with all of this. So it's been a bit of a frustrating time.
I can well imagine. You have trainers who work out of the gym as well?
Yes, well, we do. We've got personal trainers that take private one-on-ones out there, and also our coaches that help out with the classes as well.
So, to be kind of blunt, how are you and the business coping?
Look, it's been a really tough time, Daryl, as it has been for many people. And to be honest, we've just had to sort of go with it. There's not a lot we can do about this. So luckily, we've got great support out at the gym and also the people around the industry. So we've sort of all been banding together to try and stay positive and get through these times.
With us going into level 3 this week, some businesses are reopening. You're not open yet. What has to change to enable you to open?
Yeah, I guess it really comes down to, we can run some classes with the social distancing. We could get sort of box fit classes happening and making sure there's plenty of space and making sure the hygiene's really top notch. But until sort of that happens, then I won't be able to open up to the public. So probably level 2, hopefully.
I've seen online a lot of people who do similar things like yoga instructors and that are doing online videos and then somehow recouping the expense for the content. Have you thought about doing like online training sessions, that sort of thing?
Yes, well, look, definitely. To be honest, I've been without resources to be able to take proper classes. So now that I'm able to go out to the gym myself, I'm going to look at running some classes for the guys and doing some stuff from out there with the bags and things like that.
How many people do you have in your stable now with the organisation?
Yeah, so we've got about 100 members out at the OFC. So it's just trying to keep them all entertained. But probably, to be fair, our training especially for our fighters is quite intense on the body. So maybe this downtime's a bit of a blessing for them too.
Maybe a welcome rest in disguise.
Yes, I know the coach needed that anyway.
There's talk of level 2 coming in maybe a couple of weeks' time. When do you see Olympic opening up again?
Yeah, well, look, we are. Obviously, I'll be liaising with the other gyms around the country as well, and just seeing what protocols they're putting in as well. But hopefully, once level 2 comes into effect, we can definitely run it on a limited timetable.
What's up with the MMA season? Where's it gone to? People are having carded fights, that sort of thing.
Yes, well, okay. So, basically, I wear several hats. So, not only as a coach and gym owner, promote shows as well, and also heavily involved with the Mixed Martial Arts Federation. So I guess the biggest thing with the promotion side of things is the crowd numbers. So that affects being able to put on shows just to be able to cover expenses. We actually had a show planned and had to pull out and cancel that 2 weeks out. So that was pretty frustrating, but obviously safety first. And yeah, I guess when things sort of clear up, then we can look at maybe events. They'll probably be limited, more regional events for a start. And then as it opens up, look at maybe bringing people down from the North Island, and hopefully one day soon we can get some people over from overseas as well for the events. But at this stage, it's that has been affected, which will obviously have a follow-on effect within the industry for the fighters too.
Cool. So finally, what words of advice would you have for either your gym members or other people who have had a regular fitness routine that's now been interrupted by this? What's your last words of advice for them?
Yeah, look, the main thing for our guys is just to keep active, and especially for those that are used to doing a lot of physical exercise. Not to be cooped up in their homes, and get out and do something, get that fresh air into the lungs, and find something. I encourage all of our guys to find something that's just going to improve their daily life. So it might be reading something, it might be educating, it might be lots of different things, but utilise this time and try and just upskill yourself, really.
Excellent. Thanks, Matt. I really appreciate your time today.
Oh, thank you very much, Daryl.
Curbside collection for glass recycling resumed in Dunedin this week, but collection of other recyclable household waste will have to wait another fortnight. From May the 18th, the recycling of cardboard, paper, tins and most plastics will swing back into action. This means next week will be the last time the yellow-lidded recycling bins can be used to get rid of standard household rubbish. The bins are usually limited to recycling, but have been allowed to be used for rubbish of all sorts while recycling ceased during the lockdown.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Time now for a look at the weather, beginning with the situation. Plan for another day of warm northerly airflow with some rain on the western ranges later on Saturday. A colder southwesterly airflow is lining up for early next week, with snow possible on the hills. In the southern towns, the Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore are all due for freshening northerlies and high cloud, with unseasonably warm temperatures for this year, 18 degrees for all of you. Heading over to the Central Lakes, Wanaka and Queenstown are heading for light northeasterlies with some high cloud and 19 degrees. Alexandra is similar, but 1 degree warmer on 20, while Te Anau can expect freshening northerlies, cloud increasing and rain with 15 degrees. In the northern towns, on the coast, Timaru and Oamaru are due for light northeasterlies and some high cloud. Timaru aims for 19 and Oamaru 18 degrees. While inland, Twizel and Omarama are both in line for moderate northerlies, clear blue skies and 21 degrees. In Dunedin, it'll be fine and mild tonight with northerly breezes and an overnight low of 11 degrees. It'll be fine and sunny tomorrow with moderate northerlies, mild temperatures, expect a high of 18 and a low of 10. Mostly fine with thick high cloud on Saturday and moderate north to northeasterly winds, a high of 16 and a low of 10 degrees. And heading to Invercargill, cloudy tonight with an overnight low of 9 degrees. It'll be fine tomorrow with a mix of sunny periods and high cloud with moderate to fresh warm northerly winds, a high of 18 and a low of 10 degrees. Expect it to be cloudy on Saturday with a few scattered showers at first, but more persistent rain developing from mid-afternoon. Expect a high of 17 and a low of 12. And that's all from the South Today team for this Thursday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. And stay tuned to Channel 39 for the latest COVID-19 updates from the government. Although many stores are open, remember social distancing and safe coughing. Ka kite a popo. See you tomorrow.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.